There's a moment when everything feels like static. You wake up with plans, intentions, affirmations, and yet the day unravels like tangled wire. The conversation you hoped would flow turns defensive. Your body feels wired but tired. The world mirrors confusion right back at you, and you start to wonder, is chaos my baseline frequency? Here's the paradox. The chaos isn't random, it's feedback. Every disruption, delay, and emotional spike is your energy field trying to recalibrate, a distorted signal seeking coherence. We think we're managing our day, but we're actually managing charge. Every thought, every emotion, every nervous twitch emits data into the field. You are broadcasting constantly, whether you mean to or not, and the field always responds in kind. That's the quiet science beneath manifestation that most people skip. You can't override incoherence with mental intention. You can't shout clarity from a stormed nervous system and expect the field to match serenity. You must tune first, then transmit. Think of yourself as an instrument in a vast symphony of energy. When you're in tune, life harmonizes around you. Not because it obeys you, but because resonance is a law of physics as much as it is of spirit. The frustration, the anxiety, the urgency to fix, those are dissonant notes. But here's the key. You can shift your internal vibration from chaos to coherence faster than you think, once you understand how energy organizes itself. We're not talking about forcing stillness or pretending calm. We're talking about entrainment, the natural synchronization that happens when a scattered system locks into rhythm with a stable one. What if your own consciousness could become that stable rhythm? Because that's the real turning point, the moment your awareness stops fighting the noise and starts tuning the field itself. And that's exactly where the shift begins. To understand this shift, imagine a tuning fork struck in a silent room. The air vibrates, invisible yet precise. If another fork nearby shares the same frequency, it begins to hum too, without being touched. That's resonance. And this is exactly how your inner state interacts with reality. The moment you hold a steady frequency of coherence, the external begins to arrange itself in harmony with it. But coherence isn't emotionless calm. It's organized energy. It's when your thoughts, feelings, and body signals are no longer competing broadcasts, but one unified tone. Most people live like a cluster of untuned forks. The mind insists, "I'm fine," while the body trembles, and the heart whispers the truth beneath the noise. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to the composite vibration of all your systems combined. Science calls it biofield coherence, when heart rhythms, brain waves, and cellular oscillations align into smooth patterns. Spirit calls it alignment, but the mechanics are the same. Observation changes the observed. The moment you witness your own chaos without resistance, you begin to collapse it into order. That's the observer effect in motion, not theory, but lived physics. When your nervous system feels threatened, your signal becomes jagged. Your field sends out unsafety, and reality mirrors it with uncertainty. When you breathe, ground, and bring your awareness back into the body, the frequency stabilizes. It's not mystical, it's mechanical. Energy seeks equilibrium, always. The question is, which state are you normalizing in your field? Here's what changes everything. You are not trying to control external outcomes. You are tuning your own resonance so that the external no longer needs to reflect your chaos to get your attention. The field is responsive, not reactive. It doesn't punish or reward. It synchronizes. When you begin to sense yourself as the tuning fork, not the noise, the game shifts. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is my field broadcasting right now?" That one question rewires perception from victim to conductor. The more coherent you become, the less you chase alignment and the more it naturally surrounds you. But coherence isn't sustained by thought, it's sustained by embodiment. You can't think your way into vibrational stability, you have to feel it into existence. And that's where most people unknowingly disrupt their own signal, right at the edge between thinking and being. Because the myth that mental control creates energetic order is one of the biggest illusions there is, and it's the first one we need to dissolve. The common belief goes like this: if I can just think positive, visualize clearly, repeat my affirmations, everything will fall into place. But that's not how the field works. You can't layer mental glitter over energetic static and call it alignment. The universe doesn't respond to the words, it responds to the waveform beneath them. Let's make this real. Picture someone waiting for a text after a deep conversation. They replay every message, analyze tone, try to stay high vibe, even script responses in their notes app. just in case. But their body is tight, their breath shallow, their heart racing. What's the broadcast here? Not confidence, not openness. It's uncertainty. And the field matches it perfectly. Silence. This isn't punishment. It's precision feedback. The external simply mirrors the inner electromagnetic state. Your biofield, the sum of your nervous, emotional, and mental patterns, is constantly translating your vibration into physical sequence. When the field around you echoes absence, it's showing where your inner frequency has fractured from coherence. This is why purely mental manifestation fails. Thought is fast, but the body is the anchor. If your nervous system doesn't feel safe in the possibility you're imagining, it won't integrate the signal. It will keep broadcasting lack, even under layers of forced optimism. That's why trying to stay positive often amplifies pressure instead of magnetism. Real alignment begins when you stop forcing the mind to lead. The body must trust the future you're calling in. Otherwise, your system emits cross signals, one part reaching forward, another bracing for impact. Energy can't harmonize with contradiction. So when you catch yourself spiraling into control, refreshing screens, analyzing timing, calculating outcomes, pause. Bring awareness to your body. Feel the contraction behind the thought. Don't fix it, observe it, because the act of observation is already tuning the field. Here's the paradox. Your awareness itself is coherent. When you stop identifying with the thought and begin sensing the pattern as energy, you shift from participant to conductor. The field instantly starts reorganizing around that calm witnessing. That's why presence feels magnetic. It restores order at the subtlest level. So the next time you feel chaos rising, don't repeat another affirmation. Tune the instrument. Breath first, awareness second, thought last. Because until the signal is embodied, intention remains noise. And yet, there's something deeper still. Coherence doesn't begin in the mind or even in the emotion. It begins in the body's ability to feel safe enough to synchronize. And that's where the real transformation unfolds. Your nervous system is the gatekeeper of your energetic field. It decides moment by moment whether you're open and harmonizing with life or closed, defending against it. Every manifestation method, every visualization technique, every quantum concept collapses back to this. Can your body stay open long enough to let energy reorganize? When your system senses threat, even subtle emotional threat, it moves into contraction. Heart rate accelerates, breath shortens, muscles tense, and the electromagnetic field around you becomes jagged. This signal isn't bad, it's simply protection. But the field can't harmonize with protection and expansion at once. The body must feel safe to emit coherence. Coherence isn't achieved by thinking calm thoughts. It's generated when your heart, breath, and brain begin to oscillate in rhythm. In that synchronization, energy flow becomes smooth, intention amplifies, and the external begins to mirror that smoothness back. That's why two people can speak the same affirmation, but one's world shifts and the other's doesn't. The difference is not belief, it's physiological resonance. Here's a short practice to experience this shift directly. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale slowly through the nose, letting your belly expand. Exhale gently through the mouth, as if softening into the ground beneath you. Do this 3 times. Now bring your attention to your heart, not as an idea, but as a physical pulse. Imagine breathing from the heart, not just through the lungs. Let your breath form a wave. Inhale and expand, exhale and release. As you breathe, sense the vibration of your body starting to smooth out. Thoughts might still move, but their edges soften. This is coherence beginning. It doesn't require silence, only rhythm. Your nervous system learns safety not from logic, but from experience. Repetition of safety in motion. The more often you return here, the faster your system entrains to that frequency. Over time, this coherence becomes your default broadcast. That's when manifestations stabilize. Opportunities, people, and synchronicities begin aligning. Not because you're doing it right, but because your field is steady enough to hold resonance. This is the hidden secret of alignment. The universe doesn't meet your words, it meets your waveform. When your internal rhythm steadies, life entrains to you instead of you chasing it. The nervous system isn't a barrier, it's the instrument through which creation sings. But there's another layer to this harmony, one that shifts you from temporary states of coherence into a deeper identity that is coherence itself. That's the moment when you stop tuning in and start being the frequency. Most people try to get into a better state, calmer, more confident, more abundant, like switching radio stations. But states are temporary. They fade when old conditions reappear. What truly changes your field isn't the state you reach, it's the identity you embody. A state says, I feel peaceful right now. An identity says, peace is where I live. The difference might sound small, but energetically, it's everything. Because identity is the blueprint your field organizes around. If you only visit coherence when meditating, the moment life intensifies, your nervous system defaults back to chaos. But when coherence becomes who you are, when your cells, breath, and posture recognize that signal as home, life can swirl around you, and your frequency barely wavers. Think of the tuning fork again. When you hit a note that truly belongs to the instrument, it doesn't need effort to sustain. The vibration keeps echoing through the material. That's what embodiment does. It ingrains the frequency into your structure. Here's the trap. People confuse emotional highs with identity shifts. You might feel aligned after journaling, breathing, or visualizing, but if underneath there's still a self-concept of, I'm someone trying to align, the field reads that as instability. It's not about pretending to be confident or peaceful. It's about remembering that your system knows coherence. You're not learning alignment, you're returning to it. Start noticing the subtle statements your body makes throughout the day. The slump when you open an email, the tension in your jaw before a conversation, the breath you hold before you speak. Each of these is your field expressing an identity. The goal isn't to fix it, it's to tune it. Adjust posture, lengthen the breath, soften the face. These are not superficial gestures. They're physical affirmations that say, I belong in coherence. When this identity stabilizes, life feels less like reaction and more like rhythm. You stop chasing calm. You start emanating it. You stop managing outcomes. Outcomes start orbiting your steadiness. And yet, this identity shift does something even more radical. It doesn't just change your perception, it literally shifts which version of reality you synchronize with. In the quantum field, multiple timelines coexist, each vibrating at a different level of coherence. So the question becomes, which version of yourself and which reality is your field selecting right now? Because identity doesn't just define your inner world. It determines your timeline. Every identity emits a frequency pattern, like a unique signature in the field. Each pattern resonates with a specific version of reality, a timeline. When you shift identity, you don't attract a new life. You tune into a new one that already exists within the quantum fabric. Think of each possible future as a station on a radio dial. You don't force a song to play. You simply turn the knob until the static dissolves and clarity appears. That's what an identity shift really is. A precise retuning of your energetic signature to match a different broadcast. Let's ground this in something tangible. Imagine you're under money pressure. Bills are due, and your mind spirals into calculation. You tighten your chest, push harder, repeat affirmations that feel hollow. From this frequency, the timeline you're aligned with is one of scarcity, because your field is broadcasting contraction. Now, pause. Feel the body. Let the breath lengthen. Instead of repeating, I have enough, allow your system to embody the frequency of stability. Maybe you remember a time when you felt supported. You breathe as if that support is here now, because energetically, it is. The moment your body feels that frequency, you tune to a new station. Ideas appear. Solutions flow. People respond differently. The bills are still there, but the field rearranges around your new signal, guiding you toward the timeline where stability already exists. This isn't magical thinking, it's coherence physics. Your perception doesn't just observe reality, it locks you into a version of it. When your nervous system stabilizes around a coherent frequency, it collapses probabilities into matching experiences. You're not changing the world, you're changing which version of the world becomes visible to you. Here's the subtle mastery. You don't leap timelines through effort. You align through remembrance. The stable timeline doesn't arrive because you've earned it. It becomes available the moment your signal matches its frequency. That's why desperate action rarely works. It's a broadcast of doubt disguised as control. As your identity evolves, your field becomes a tuning system, not a wish list. You stop asking when will it happen and start sensing which frequency am I inhabiting now? Because the moment your awareness holds coherence long enough, the new reality must reveal itself. But awareness alone isn't enough. The shift has to be rehearsed, trained into the nervous system until it becomes automatic. And that's where embodiment turns theory into physics. through daily, deliberate, energetic rehearsal. Rehearsal isn't pretending. It's conditioning your field to recognize coherence as its native state. Just like a musician practices until muscle memory replaces effort, you train your body and energy to default to alignment, no matter what noise arises. Here's how you do it. Tool 1. Bridge statements. Instead of forcing affirmations that feel false, build bridges your system can actually cross. If your mind screams, "I'm not abundant," jumping straight to, "I'm a millionaire," triggers resistance. A bridge statement sounds like, "I'm learning how to feel supported," or "I'm getting better at trusting the flow." These small calibrations matter because your field reads authenticity, not exaggeration. Each bridge stabilizes frequency, step by step. Tool 2. Somatic anchors. Pick one physical cue that embodies coherence for you. Maybe it's a slow hand over your heart, a subtle shoulder roll, or a deep exhale that releases the jaw. Anchor that gesture every time you catch yourself contracting. Over time, your nervous system begins to associate that movement with safety and balance. The anchor becomes a physical switch from chaos to alignment. Tool 3. Energetic mapping. Each morning, before engaging the world, sense your body like a map of vibration. Where's it open? Where's it tight? Where's it buzzing? Don't fix, just notice. Awareness alone begins to harmonize the field. Then imagine breathing coherence from your heart outward, like tuning the edges of your body to one frequency. This isn't visualization, it's entrainment. Tool 4. Timeline rehearsal. Before taking action, close your eyes and sense the version of you already living the outcome. Notice how that body breathes, how it moves, how it perceives. Let your muscles subtly imitate that posture, your breath match that rhythm. The body doesn't know imagination from experience, it responds to frequency. The more vividly you embody the timeline, the faster your field locks into it. These tools don't create alignment, they reinforce it. They teach your system how coherence feels so it can return there instinctively. Because the goal isn't constant focus, it's effortless resonance. So practice lightly, daily, playfully. Let coherence become muscle memory. The moment your body begins to hum with familiarity, you'll feel the shift. Life no longer pulls you into reaction. It starts orbiting your inner rhythm. Have you noticed that when you stop gripping, what you wanted finally finds its way to you? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. But even the most grounded practice meets resistance. The moment your energy expands, the field tests your stability through urgency, self-doubt, and over-control. And knowing how to transmute those forces is the real mastery of coherence. Every energetic breakthrough meets resistance, not because the universe is blocking you, but because your field is recalibrating. As coherence increases, old frequencies surface for release. The patterns that once kept you safe start to lose charge, but before they dissolve, they try to reassert control. That's when you meet the 3 great disruptors of alignment: urgency, split signals, and over-control. Urgency is the first. It's the body's panic disguised as motivation. You tell yourself, "I need to act now or I'll lose momentum." But urgency compresses your field. It tells the universe, "I don't trust timing." The fix isn't to stop acting, it's to act from coherence. Before you send the message, make the call, or make the move, pause for 2 breaths. Let the body settle. When your action originates from a regulated state, it carries magnetic clarity instead of scattered energy. Split signals come next. These happen when your conscious intention says yes, but your subconscious hums no. You say you want abundance, but deep down, part of you equates abundance with exposure or loss. The field then receives 2 frequencies at once and mirrors both, hence the start-stop pattern so many people experience. The solution isn't to crush resistance, it's to integrate it. When you notice contradiction, bring that younger part of you into coherence through compassion, not pressure. Whisper inwardly, "You're safe to receive." That single gesture harmonizes frequencies faster than any mental command. Then there's over-control, the subtlest trap of all. It's the mind trying to manage energy through micromanagement, checking outcomes, forcing synchronicities, rehearsing how the result will arrive. Over-control is the opposite of quantum trust. It creates energetic drag. The field reads that contraction as mistrust, and coherence collapses. The antidote isn't surrendering into passivity, it's surrendering into precision. You guide the frequency, not the form. You stabilize the tone and let the field compose the melody. When you stop oversteering, life starts to self-organize around your steadiness. Energy begins to flow where it was once blocked, not because you earned it, but because your resistance finally relaxed enough to let physics do its work. Each of these obstacles isn't a failure. They're proof that your system is evolving. You're learning to transmit a steady signal under movement, under noise, under pressure. That's the true calibration of mastery. And the real test of that mastery isn't in stillness. It's in motion, in the everyday moments where coherence meets life head-on, in the walk, the meal, the conversation. That's where theory becomes lived energy. True alignment isn't built in meditation. It's built in motion, while walking through crowds, answering messages, cooking dinner, or sitting in silence after conflict. That's where your frequency either fragments or fuses. Integration means coherence becomes portable. You don't visit it, you carry it. When you eat, you're not just feeding the body, you're instructing the field. The way you chew, breathe, and receive nourishment transmits signals of safety or scarcity. Slow down the meal, feel texture and gratitude, not as ritual, but as physics. That calm attention tells your cells, we're supported. The field echoes that signal with support in form, opportunities, resources, timing. Walking is another chance to entrain coherence. Most people walk like their minds are pulling them forward, bodies lagging behind. Try syncing your steps to your breath. Feel your feet connect to the ground as though each step tunes the planet's rhythm beneath you. This simple act recalibrates the heart-brain field and amplifies stability. Even in conversation, coherence can lead. Before speaking, sense your body's tone. Is it braced or open? Words emitted from tension carry static. Words spoken from regulated presence reshape dynamics in real time. Communication becomes transmission. You stop persuading and start resonating. Technology, too, becomes a mirror for coherence. Notice the difference between scrolling from emptiness and scrolling from fullness. One drains the field, the other observes it. The moment you sense yourself slipping into comparison, don't fight it. Anchor back into breath, into body. That reclaims frequency. Integration is not perfection, it's adaptability. The field doesn't expect you to stay calm 24/7. It only requires that you return faster each time you drift. Each recovery strengthens neural pathways for stability, teaching your system. Coherence is home. Over time, life itself becomes your meditation. Every sensory moment, every challenge, every interaction becomes an opportunity to refine resonance. You stop compartmentalizing spiritual practice from daily living. Your entire existence becomes the practice. And something extraordinary happens. The more coherence stabilizes, the less life tests you through chaos. Instead, it expands you through synchronicity. New invitations, people, and possibilities appear as if magnetically drawn. That's not coincidence. It's entrainment on a grander scale. Because coherence doesn't end with your body. It ripples outward, into relationships, creativity, health, and purpose, transforming every domain it touches. And that's where the energy shift truly proves itself, when the same principles that calmed your mind begin to rearrange the world around you. But expansion brings new levels of responsibility. How to hold that energy across relationships, creation, and the purpose you're meant to embody next. That's where the shift moves from personal regulation to planetary coherence. When coherence becomes your default signal, it doesn't stay contained inside your skin. Energy expands through every layer of your life, reorganizing relationships, creativity, health, and purpose. The same rhythm that once steadied your heartbeat begins to tune the entire ecosystem around you. In relationships, coherence is contagious. Think of a conversation that could have turned defensive but didn't, because one person stayed grounded. Their calm nervous system acted as a tuning fork, inviting the other into resonance without a single word of persuasion. That's energetic leadership, the ability to stabilize a shared field through presence, not dominance. When you embody this, even conflict becomes creative potential. Now imagine a creative block. You sit at the blank page, or canvas, or project plan, and the mind tightens. Most people push harder, trying to think their way back into flow. But creativity doesn't emerge from pressure. It emerges from coherence. Breathe, drop into the heart, feel the pulse steady, and suddenly the channel reopens. Ideas surface not as effort, but as signal. The body becomes the antenna, and inspiration flows as reception, not invention. Health shifts too. When your field stabilizes, energy distribution within the body evens out. Chronic tension softens. Digestion, sleep, and focus recalibrate. The body finally receives the message it's been craving. It's safe to heal. Coherence is the language of restoration. When energy stops defending, it starts repairing. And purpose, perhaps the most misunderstood of all. You don't find purpose, you tune into it. Every soul already vibrates with a specific frequency, a calling encoded within the field. The clearer your signal, the louder that calling becomes. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start feeling, "What wants to move through me?" Action then aligns not with obligation, but with resonance. Scenario 3. Imagine you're about to walk into an important job interview. Instead of rehearsing answers, you close your eyes and sense your field expanding beyond fear. You breathe coherence into your body until your presence feels magnetic. You walk in steady, not trying to impress, but to transmit clarity. The interviewer mirrors that calm. Conversation flows. Opportunities respond not to your resume, but to your regulated energy. That's the quantum signature of embodiment. As coherence ripples outward, it becomes less about my energy and more about our field. You start noticing how your stability shifts rooms, how your calm steadies chaos, how your laughter changes atmospheres. And yet there's a deeper recognition waiting underneath all of it. A realization that this harmony you generate isn't just personal energy management, it's the living intelligence of the universe itself, speaking through you. At some point, coherence stops feeling like something you practice and starts feeling like something that is. You begin to sense that what you've been tuning into isn't merely your energy, but the universal field expressing through a unique frequency called you. The boundary between personal vibration and cosmic rhythm softens, and you realize there was never separation, only degrees of attunement. This is where the journey becomes spiritual, though not in the traditional sense. You're no longer trying to control the universe. You're realizing you are part of its self-regulation. Every breath you take feeds information into the collective field. Every act of coherence stabilizes the grid for others who are still lost in noise. It's no longer self-improvement, it's contribution. From this perspective, surrender takes on a new meaning. It's not giving up. It's giving over to the intelligence that organizes everything. Just as cells in the body follow the rhythm of the heart, your energy learns to follow the rhythm of the whole. You stop forcing manifestation because you sense that reality is already orchestrating for coherence. Your task is simply to stay clear enough to perceive it. The paradox becomes evident. Surrender is not weakness, it's precision. It's aligning with the deeper intelligence that knows when to move, when to pause, when to let go. In this state, intuition isn't mystical, it's informational. Guidance arises not as a command, but as a frequency that feels unmistakably right. You may notice synchronicities increasing, conversations aligning, ideas arriving on cue, people appearing at perfect timing. These are not coincidences, they are coherence events, evidence that your field and the universal field are now communicating fluently. The outer world becomes a living feedback system, reflecting your inner precision in motion, and something even subtler unfolds. The line between manifesting and being manifested dissolves. You sense that life is dreaming itself through you, that the energy shaping galaxies is the same energy shaping your day. Your desires are no longer separate from creation. They are how creation evolves itself. When coherence stabilizes at this level, peace stops being fragile. It's no longer something you hold. It's something that holds you. You move through uncertainty like a steady current moving through open space, aware that the intelligence behind existence is the same pulse animating your own heart. And it all leads to one truth. You were never learning to control energy. You were remembering that you are energy, organized consciousness in human form. And that realization is what prepares you for the final shift. When you no longer just align with the field, you become the field. Everything begins to make sense here. Where chaos once felt random, you now see rhythm. Every delay, every silence, every twist was the field reflecting a signal you didn't yet know you were sending. You weren't being tested, you were being tuned. Coherence in the end isn't control, it's communion. It's the moment the separate you dissolves into the larger pattern that has been guiding all along. The tuning fork and the symphony are not two, they're one continuum of sound. You've never been outside the orchestra. You were simply learning to hear your own note clearly enough to realize it was part of the song. When your awareness, breath, and body hum in unison, chaos no longer feels like threat. It becomes information. Discomfort becomes the field's way of saying, adjust here, refine there. Every emotion becomes usable data. Every challenge, an invitation to retune. And that's the quiet mastery, when life doesn't have to be calm for you to be coherent. You stop demanding the world to align before you relax. You align first, and the world entrains, not by force, with frequency. In that space, you feel the extraordinary ordinary again, the pulse in your chest, the ground beneath your feet, the subtle hum between moments. This is the same energy that spins stars, folds waves, births possibility. When you feel it within you, even briefly, you're witnessing creation remembering itself. So the next time chaos rises, pause and listen. Beneath the noise, there's always a tone waiting to be heard, the one that's been guiding you back home to coherence all along. Have you ever felt that moment when everything suddenly clicks? When what once resisted you starts to move with you instead? Share it in the comments. Someone out there might need that exact vibration to find their own harmony, because the energy shift that turns chaos into alignment was never outside of you. It was always your own frequency, waiting to remember its original tune.